Holy moly, it is time for another video with you guys. I had two carousel posts go quite viral on Instagram the other day. Usually my reels can go pretty viral. I've had some reels that hit 13 million, which is insane. Not all of them, just not all of them. Usually we're in the like 8K range. But I've never had a carousel go viral. And these two carousels went so viral, like 37K on that one, and then it's like 21K on the other. So I got so many people messaging me that they absolutely loved this carousel. I'm going to bring it here to you girls. We're going to go over it. I'm going to give a little bit more depth to what I was saying here. So let's go. I wanted to do like a picture of me back when I was in my ED and what I used to think versus me now, what I think about certain things. So I have this first picture of me, which that was a while ago, guys. Actually really hard to even resonate or remember that version of me, to be quite honest. But I do remember her being extraordinarily fearful of being full. Like being full was not just a sensation, which by the way, guys, it's just a sensation. It's a normal human sensation at that, right? Like fullness is a part of life. You get full. You sometimes have meals where you eat really well and you're full. It's not something to like freak out about. But of course, I moralized the fullness and I thought that it meant that I was wrong and I was bad and that I had done something wrong. I'd eaten something wrong. And oh my gosh, to my orthorexic mind, to eat something wrong, the idea of that was like, that was not good. That was not good to my brain. I'm sure a lot of you guys really connect with this fear of fullness. I know a lot of the girls in my group do. I actually want to mention, Okay, let's go to what I wanted to say here. What I would say here now, because this is something that we talked about in my community the other day. I had a one-on-one with someone, and we really got to break down this fear that she has of being full. And we really brought it down to she's really scared of showing up in the fullness of who she is. She's scared of being the fullest expression of herself, which is why she has masked up, which is why she's pretended to be a different version of her, why she has hidden herself in so many ways, because she's afraid that who she is in her entirety and in her fullness is not perfect enough. Like, you guys can probably fill in the blank here. So what I wrote here is what you're afraid of is your fullest expression. To be full, again, everything that's happening on the plate or everything that's happening with your relationship to food, how I view it, how I teach, is that it's simply just a mirror into what is happening in the granderness. That's not a word, Chloe. It's simply what's happening in the bigger picture of your life. And so we can see that when we perpetually are holding back from feeling the sensation of fullness with food, we are holding back from feeling the sensation of who we truly are in our life. That makes sense? So these are really important things to understand, that like all of the things when it comes to fearing food, fearing your body in a certain way, those things are not actually because your body is wrong. Those things are not actually because food is evil, because food's not. Food simply is just neutral. It gives you life. It's just simply energy. But we have put on it so much. And this is what I like to break down. This is what my whole program's about. I am really good at helping women break down what their fear actually is about so that we can actually address that thing. So the work that I'm doing with this client is, let's step into your fullest expression. Where are you holding back? What conversation do you need to have with someone? Where do you show up in a way that actually isn't authentically you? Because if we start to do that more and more and more and more, and we start to literally just like remove the mask of perfection, remove the mask of all these identities that we've held on to, and we allow you to just be you in certain situations, well, you're going to develop that muscle, and over time you're going to feel okay with being the fullness of you. And guess what? You're going to stop freaking out when you get a little full when you eat food. It's how it works. Okay, this next one was, I'm afraid of my body changing. Anyone in the comment section, anyone afraid of their body changing? This is literally the number one block that I see with people, is like the fear of body changing, the fear of them gaining weight. I do have a mini course coming out that is going to be addressing this specifically. Of course, I address it in my bigger program, but I do want something that's there for you guys that's going to be like a very low ticket offer. So probably in the like probably $100 type of thing. So that is coming out. Stay tuned on my Instagram if you don't follow me, because that's where I release all those things, at Flow with Chloe, right there. So I'm afraid of my body changing. In reality, how I view it now is what you're afraid of is not being loved if it does. I don't think I actually was afraid of my body now that I look back at it. Like, I wasn't afraid of being at a different weight. I was afraid of the potential consequences that I made in my head about that. I thought that all of a sudden my parents would literally drop me off on the side of the road and be like, good luck. You're on your own. Your body changed. You weigh too much. That did not happen, obviously. In fact, when I finally actually allowed my body to be the size that it needed to be, I finally was able to actually have a good relationship with my parents. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm like, I literally would like yell at my mom all of the time. And this is so not me. I actually don't have a hot temper. I'm very passionate, yes, but I do not have a hot temper. And those days of the ED, I was so irritable and so irrational and so just like anger filled that I would yell at my mom time and time and time again when she was trying to get me to eat something, or she was telling me that I shouldn't go on a walk, or whatever it may be. I was really afraid that if I changed, that I wasn't going to be loved. I wasn't going to be seen. I wasn't going to be valued. I wasn't going to be worthy. And so there was a very, in my mind, real consequence to me gaining weight. So of course I'm going to be super strict with my food. Of course I'm going to like be super on top of my exercise routine so that I ensure that I don't change at all, so that I don't lose love. If someone loving you, by the way, guys, is like on that thin of a thread, like, really? Like, if you gain 2 pounds and your partner all of a sudden is like, nope, sorry, actually, I don't like you. It's like, really, wow, that you guys did not have love. Telling you that now, because love is not something that requires you to be in a very thin margin of error, or have a very thin margin of error. This next one, I'm afraid of letting go of the ED identity, the skinny identity, the fit chick identity, the healthy one identity, insert whatever it is that you feel you have identified yourself with. When I look at this now, because I was really afraid of this, especially because I came from a vegan background where I was pretty adamantly vegan for 5+ years. And I would literally introduce myself as, hi, my name is Chloe and I am vegan. I really created this strong identity around veganism and around being this super fit chick. And it was really hard for me to be like, I'm going to actually destroy that identity. And I'm going to step into a new one that is going to better support me. It was hard because I didn't want people to think like, what happened to her, especially with veganism. I didn't want people to be like, oh, she was just so weak and she just did it wrong, which, excuse me. No, really, actually something stuck in my throat. Okay, there we go. I had so many people when I left veganism, and I posted that on my social media. So many people being like, you just didn't do this right. You just didn't have the right supplementation, which I think is so funny that we need to have the perfect right amount of supplementation in order for the vegan diet to work. We could talk about that later. People were really, not gonna lie, in that community specifically, were really quick to judge. And so I think I didn't want to move out of the vegan community because I was really afraid of the judgment from it. Again, let's go back to the topic we had before of love. Love shouldn't be, you're doing something that is good for you. You're healing from an ED. You are getting your health and life back. Like, shame on you. That's not love. So what I said here is what you're afraid of is not liking your true self, because that really, at the end of it, was the important thing here. I was so afraid of what other people would say. And in all reality, what other people say doesn't matter, because people are going to have their opinion and people are going to think certain things and judge you and whatever. And like, that's just life. And I'm sorry, we can't get away from that. But the important thing is, do you feel confident in who you are? Do you trust you to guide yourself properly? Do you like who you've become? Do you like this identity? That's the important thing here. Because when you have that, like if I walk into a room and I'm wearing a hat. My mom used to read me, I think it's a Dr. Seuss book where it's like, do you like my hat? I do not like your hat. Well, do you like my hat now? I do like your hat. Anyways. If you guys know, you know. I loved that book when I was younger. So let's say I walk into this party and I'm feeling insecure already in who I am. I'm reliant on external validation to help me feel okay with who I am and okay with the hat that I'm wearing. And I walk into this room and someone says, yeah, it's kind of an interesting hat. Okay, I'm probably gonna die. Like, literally, I'm gonna be like, what? I'm gonna like take it off. I'm gonna throw it away and be like, this wasn't mine. I'm gonna feel really insecure and I'm gonna change who I am based on that person's opinion. But let's say I walk in and I'm super confident and I'm like, I love this hat and this hat is amazing and it's just such a vibe for me right now. I walk into that room and that person says, yeah, the hat is interesting. I'll be like, I know, isn't it? It's kind of really fun. Hear the difference, guys? I've taught this quite a bit in my coaching, but there are two ways that you can live in this world. Either you live in a bubble. If you guys are familiar with Seinfeld, there's an episode with the Bubble Boy. Essentially, Bubble Boy is really afraid of germs and getting sick, and so he decides to live in a bubble where we have to sanitize everything and send it into his little bubble. That's a way to avoid getting sick, I guess. But the other way to avoid getting sick is just simply having a good immune system where you can like walk on the subway in New York and like touch all the rails and then touch your face and still not get sick because your immune system is working hard for you. That's the same thing with confidence here. It's like either you live in a bubble. This is like the I need external validation and I need to be perfect. You can live in this bubble and try and always be the perfect person wearing the perfect hats going to every single party so that like nothing attacks you. Or you can simply just have confidence and walk in the world knowing I don't need you to like my hat in order for me to like my hat. So you're not afraid of the ED identity. You're afraid of not liking your true self. A lot of us, this is why we went to the ED in the first place. There's something wrong with me. I do in my first sessions with people when they join the collective, I do a deep dive session with them and I will take them through the genesis of the ED. Not like in therapy where you go, tell me your life story. No, it's a little bit more guided and I'm trying to pinpoint the exact moment that something shifted for you so that we can understand what happened there. And what is so interesting is that 90% of the time, it is literally verbatim this narrative. There is something wrong with me. And that's what started a lot of the ED. There's something wrong with me. There's something so utterly wrong with me. And what's so interesting is that like someone could be talking about a memory back from 5 years old. And I'm like, really? 5 years old? At 5 years old, there's something that wrong with you at 5 years old? So we get to look back at it and we get to see, oh, in all reality, actually, I chose to believe that. And that wasn't actually really reality. Okay, anyways, I'm getting really sidetracked. Let's go to the next one here. I'm afraid of eating pleasurable foods. Deathly afraid of it. I actually thought it was bad. I thought it was like, you're being indulgent, you're being greedy. How dare you enjoy what you eat? But really though, I thought that. What I put here is what you're afraid of is not being worthy of savoring life fully. This is huge here. So huge that I'm stumped for words in this moment. Part of life is pleasure. Part of being in your feminine is pleasure. And there's a huge turning away from pleasure or fighting against or shaming pleasure in our society, specifically in diet culture. I want to speak here. Indulgent foods or greedy for that. Like there's so many narratives that get us to just think that us choosing foods that feel good to us is wrong and bad. You're never going to be able to have health in that way, just FYI. Your pleasure says a lot about what you need and about what is good. This is pleasure with wisdom, right? And I say that what I mean is this is not dopamine pleasure, like scrolling on your phone for hours, right? Could feel good in a moment. You're like, this is pleasurable, but it's like, it's a dopamine pleasure that actually doesn't bring pleasure in your life. You know what I'm talking about? You get it? Then there's like celebrating your birthday with your loved ones. That is like a deep sense of pleasure. So two different things here. And I think what happens is the dopamine high pleasure gets mixed in with actual true pleasure, like pleasure from wisdom, pleasure from a grounded place, pleasure that truly gives life to you. It's really important, especially as us women, that we are leaning into our pleasure, that we have enough pleasure. I look at it this way. We have like a battery, and every single day this battery needs to be fully charged with pleasure. When you don't, that's when you don't sleep well. That's when you start feeling really like masculine and very logical and very in your mind and very just dull and like you just don't feel your best. And it's because you're continually not reaching the amount of pleasure that you need. Now, pleasure doesn't just come from food, okay? But when we are so adamantly against receiving any pleasure from food, it usually shows up in us being adamantly against receiving pleasure in life. So you're afraid of being worthy. Yeah, the pleasure thing's such a worthy thing. Next one, I'm afraid of letting go of control. I said what you're afraid of is finding safety and softness instead of structure. Yeah. You're going to have to like surrender in order for you to actually feel good. And there's a lot of fear in that because we've been told that we need to white knuckle and grip onto everything and control it all in this very unpredictable world. Well, when you do that, what happens is you make yourself easy to break. I can put it that way. Have you heard that term of like, be so flexible so you don't break? And that's ultimately what surrender gives you, and what softness gives you is it gives you that ability to flex, to shift and change as needed with what life gives you, instead of you trying to like make life give you a certain thing. It's like, yeah, okay. How's that going? You're wasting a lot of energy trying to control life and what it does. Instead, you can learn how to flow and surrender with it. This is what I teach in my program. It's all about get your flow on. It's literally how to flow again, like how to stop resisting life and how to flow with it, and how to have confidence with you flowing with it, and how to have confidence with you flowing with the natural shifts and changes that will happen with your body as you age, as you grow, and all of that. As you go through different seasons, not just an aging thing as well. But that flow is truly how you end up having a healthy relationship to food, healthy relationship to body, healthy relationship to life in general. Flow is super important, and every single woman that I meet when they first come to me, they are super rigid, they are super stagnant, a lot of stagnancy in the EDs, and there's not a lot of flexibility. It either has to be this way or it's not perfect, and I'm having a panic attack. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. This next one is I'm afraid of gaining weight. Anyone here afraid of gaining weight? I was on a sales call the other day with this girl, and I was like, okay, so what's your biggest block to getting yourself here? Like, what are the things that we're rubbing up against? And she's like, oh, I really fear gaining weight. And I just looked at her and I was like, I've never heard that before. She looked at me and she was like, what? I was like, I'm kidding. It's the number one thing I hear. What you're afraid of is stepping into your feminine form, the body that shows your softness, radiance, and sensuality. I don't feel like we as women have been initiated enough into being women as we were younger. I developed an ED at 14. I'm pretty fair for me to say that most of my clients have developed an ED at around 12, 13, 14 years old. It's a very common age for an ED to develop. It's also the age where you're stepping into puberty, where you are naturally developing and you are having a different sort of hormones and your body shifting and changing. And there's just not a lot of initiation into that. I didn't even tell my mom I got my first period because I was so nervous to tell her, because there was like no conversation about it before. Thank goodness for like kids talking, because like I don't even think I would know what anything was unless I heard it on the playground at recess. I had an older sister too, so that of course helped. But when we don't get properly initiated into our femininity and we don't understand the power and the beauty of us being women and the shifts and changes that are going to happen with our body, with our cycle every month, like who at 14 years old, and maybe you guys did, this was just so not me. I grew up very Mormon too, so I think that there was a lot of just like closed downness with this stuff. But like I had no idea about the follicular phase, ovulation, luteal, and menstruation. Like I don't know. I just thought you bled every once in a while. Like, I had no idea that this was actually like a cycle, and a very emotional cycle too, where it's like you're going through different seasons. I had no idea. Um, I think also just tying this into the fact that we do have a very patriarchal society. We do have a society that is very kind of men driven in a lot of ways. And of course, that's shifting and changing. And I think we have this idea, especially when we're young and not initiated into our femininity enough, we get this idea that like men are better and we just got to be one with the boys. I know a lot of people feel this way. Not everyone, of course, but I know a lot of us have had like stories like this where it's like, I just need to like prove myself. I got to work really hard. I got to like run faster. I got to beat all the boys. I got to make more money. I got to do all these things. And we've really adopted these masculine traits and seen them as like the holy grail of like, I just need to do all of this, be super disciplined and reach all of this. And it's not about reaching those things, right? Because you can do that in a very healthy way, in a very feminine way, but it's about the energy in which you do that. And I think when you combine that with like, okay, so now we only are like praising, say, like for an example, like we're not praising creativity, we're praising mathematics, and we are praising hard work and driving yourself down to the ground and discipline. It's hard as women to not get sucked into that, and then to not be like afraid of their femininity, of what it means to slow down, to soften, to surrender, to be intuitive, to care about their heart more than what their mind is saying. I think that there's a lot of fear with that. We don't understand it. And so when we don't understand something, we're going to fear it. And so we hold on to this form that actually literally feels more masculine. It's rigid, no breasts, no like extra fat tissue. Like we are literally holding on to this, you could say like a little girl body, because we're afraid of what it means to take full responsibility of being a woman. So I think we're really afraid of that, not necessarily the weight gain. Again, it's not about the body. I'm afraid of resting. I said what you're afraid of is what will come up emotionally when you stop running around all the time. That's huge. What you're afraid of is what will come up when you stop running away all of the time. As I went through the recovery process, I think that was the first time I realized just how much I was continually running away from everything, because I got hit by a truck with all of my emotions. It's like the dumpster came out and just dumped it on my front lawn and was like, oh, now you're unnumb. Now here's all of these things that you didn't deal with. Again, this is why having support through the process can be so helpful, because that's a lot to handle. I really leaned on. I had a great coach at the end of my recovery that I worked with. So I didn't have one in the beginning parts. I wish I did, to be honest. But I did eventually start working with a therapist and working with a coach post my recovery. And this coach was so great at helping me process first and foremost just how numb I was, and then helping me understand all of these emotions that prior to me going through the recovery process, I would just numb out from, and I would use exercise and I would use hunger and I would use all these things to just not feel it. Well, now I had to feel it and process it. It's not just going to go away, is what I learned. But I think we get really afraid of what's going to come up. But at the same time, like I just said, it's not going to go away. It ends up just manifesting in our health. When we hold on to anger, when we hold on to bad experiences, to trauma and all of that, it creates massive neck pain, it creates headaches, it creates ovarian cyst, it creates so much imbalance in the body. There's so much tension, there's so much tightness. I mean, we are energetical human beings, okay? So if you think about it, we have all these things and we're just like trapping them in here. Think about how that's impacting the current. Yeah, it's impacting it in a big way. You do need to go through all these things. And again, for anyone who is going through this process, I think having someone there to help support you in the navigation of that is really important. Now, there's such a beauty, while it was hard and there was a lot in the beginning, it was such a beautiful thing for me to finally unravel all of the things that had led to me thinking that restriction was the best way and that I needed to play life super small and that I couldn't be fully me. That was really important. That is what, I swear, that is what got me to the woman I am today. The fact that I was able to correctly, thoroughly, emotionally process all of those things that happened to me for the years that I was in the ED. That was super, 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 super important. But yeah, I think we continue to keep ourselves in this high cortisol state because we're afraid of what it means to actually feel that. So there's a lot of work to do with you being allowed to feel and you being allowed to be a human. And I know the perfectionistic mind doesn't like that because it wants to be perfect and not human, but you are a human. So yeah. That was it for this post. If you want to see the other carousel posts that I have created this last month, there's been some good ones, and you can go to @flowwithchloe on Instagram. If there's any questions about anything that I shared today, then make sure to drop it in the comment section. If you are looking to get support on your recovery process, I have my program Get Your Flow on. I absolutely love it. This program has helped women from around the world heal their relationship to food, femininity, to their body, to exercise, to movement. This is a very daily hands-on approach. This is you getting the support that you need every single day to take the steps forward that you need to take to get you to a different place. The community is full of amazing women. We have group calls, presentation calls. I'm diving into certain topics. The curriculum is everything I learned through my recovery process to take me out of 11 years of eating disorders to the woman that I am today. I did not leave anything out. I will say that. I think there's over 90 hours of video in there and somatic work and meditations and journal writings and processes for you to go through to help you heal your relationship to food and body. It's a really great program. If you're interested in joining us, there's a link down below to my call calendar. You can schedule a free call and we will chat about whether it is right for you. I hope you guys have a great day and I'll see you guys in the next one.